Hello, everyone, and welcome in to JW World News. My goodness, we have been doing this program for 18 years, and we are here because you are here. We never missed a Saturday night. A lot of people really rely on this program, so thank you for wanting to come in and be with us tonight. My name's Rick Ferrin, and I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And what a pleasure it is to talk to people who have left the Watchtower and those that are wiggling their way loose. Well, I got good news for all of you tonight. Now just listen. I want you just to listen very closely to what I have to say. There's really good news, and I want to bring you up to speed on the way that I am thinking. It's only a matter of time. If you have friends and you have relatives in this evil cult, they will be talking to you soon. You can take that to the bank and cash it. Friends, as I always say on this program, the monkey has died. The circus is over. You know, I got thinking, I woke up a couple of nights ago. I says, I want to address the audience tonight. I want to look you right in the eye, and I want you really to think about what's being said here tonight. This is not a joke. This is not something that I'm looking through rose-colored glasses. This is reality. We are witnessing a major cult die. Yes, they are in intensive care. And I'm thinking, during the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, even up to about 2000, we all know the Watchtower kept multiplying like crazy, right? Geez, thousands of people all over the world, then millions of people. So now they get up to 8 million, as they would say, 8.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide. I don't know if I can completely believe it, but I will go with the fact that the former few decades, they have been growing, and they've grown quite well. But I got good news for you. It's over. It is over. The mass exodus has begun. And I was laying awake in bed the other night. Sometimes I can't sleep because of what I'm hearing in the Watchtower. Sometimes I can't sleep because I've been touched by the tentacles. But I can remember, in fact, I thought of a great illustration. I can remember when I was living in Florida, there was a cat that was following my daughter around. And the cat came running into the house, and I couldn't find where the cat went. I said, where'd that blasted cat go? And we were looking all over the place. We couldn't find the cat. So the very next day, I got up and I went to put my shirt on in the closet, and there's the cat. And I couldn't believe what I saw. She had about 13 little baby kittens in the closet. I'm going, whoa, what are we going to do with all these cats? I'm not a cat man. I got the cat for my kids and my wife, but now we got 13 little cats. Well, fortunately, some of the brothers and sisters down there, they took the cat. But I'm trying to make a point here. So anyways, I figured, okay, fine, the cat. I don't want the cats. I don't want the mother cat. So hopefully we can find a way that she'll cut loose and not be with us. But what do you think happened? She had another litter. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. So now she had another 10 or so babies. And I'm going, oh my goodness, what are we going to do with all these cats? So anyways, the brothers and sisters again took them off our hands. But I got thinking, cats, rabbits, they can multiply like crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what the Jehovah's Witnesses did here for a few decades. They multiplied like crazy. But you know what I had to do? I said, look, if this cat's going to be hanging around, even if it's not my cat, I don't want this cat to have any more babies. So I took the cat down, had the cat spayed, so she couldn't have any more kittens. All right. So you say, well, where am I going with this? Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going with the same thing. Right now, the Jehovah's Witness organization is being spayed. It's being neutered. Yes. By who? Well, I have to tell you. the first people to really start speaking out against the Jehovah's Witnesses, against the Watchtower organization, they were Christians. Yes, they were the first to get out there and start saying, what a false organization. It's counterfeit Christianity. They're nothing but a religious cult. So the Christians were first to expose the Watchtower. And some people listened. Then all of a sudden, I would say back in the late 70s, mid 70s, we started to see the apostates. The cavalry was now showing up. So the apostates, oh yes. Now what they did, they started to expose the Jehovah's Witnesses. So here we have the Christians, and now we got the apostates, but now we have someone new. Someone new that is also exposing the Watchtower for who they are. It's the governments of the world. Yes. Can I name some? Yes. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Japan, Belgium, Russia. There's more. There's plenty more. And they're all exposing the Watchtower for who they are. A dangerous and a destructive cult that has hidden child sex abuse and also shuns and hurts people all over the world. So there you have it. So the multiplying of Jehovah's Witnesses has come to an end. The internet is the great equalizer. People can now see what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. I have been getting so many emails in here lately. I cannot even keep up with it. There's thousands. In fact, I'm going to even add some more zeros to this. Hundreds of thousands of people are leaving the Watchtower, and they have left in the last 2 years. And we can see it simply by the sheer number of new ones that are coming in here to the 6 screens of the Watchtower. And PMOs, oh, you guys know what PMOs are, right? PMOs, physically in, mentally out. There's so many PMOs. And you know, they're also telling me now they're not feeling alone. Yes, they're not feeling alone. So many of our relatives, so many of our friends are finding the exit door at the Kingdom Hall, including yours truly right here. I've got a lot of witness friends that are coming out and relatives, and they're writing to me. I can't tell you who. They said, Rick, I'm going to talk to you, but I can't tell you who. Don't tell anybody on your radio program. But they've been listening to the radio program. They're seeing what we're doing. So isn't that good news? Doesn't that make you feel good? If you're sitting in your chair tonight, you're laying in bed listening to this program, you should feel 10 feet high. You really should. Because I'll tell you what, it's only a matter of time, like I said at the beginning, our relatives and our friends that have been steeped, that have been embroiled into this organization are now going to be contacting you. Have you ever thought about what are you going to say when they call you? Or what are you going to say when they start talking to you? Well, don't be mad at them. Don't at all be mad at them. We have to, let's start rehearsing now. What are we going to say if someone in our family or relative hasn't talked to us for, say, 20 years? Are you going to say, well, bad for you, pal. I want nothing to do with you? No, that is not what you want to say. I had this happen, friends. This happened with a very, very close relative of mine. I can't tell you who, but they called me not too long ago. And they said, I can't use the name. They said that they are wiggling their way loose. They've seen how corrupt, how scandalous, how fraudulent this organization is. And they wanted to talk to me. This really was unsettling at first. I didn't know how to handle it. But I just took a few deep breaths and said, wow, I'm so glad you called me. But you know, it's hard for them to do that. It's very, very hard for them to do that. So I want you guys to get in the mood, or in the mode, I should say. What are you going to say when your friends and relatives that haven't spoken to you for many years? What are you going to say to them when they first contact you? Say something good. Say something good. We are seeing this happening, and it's so fantastic. I have so many people writing me and telling me, Rick, my friends, my neighbors, I know 18 Jehovah's Witnesses that left. I know 10 Jehovah's Witnesses that left. A good side of my family left. This is a wonderful thing. This is music. This is music to my ears. So I think it's music to your ears too. So I'm going to say, be happy. It's only a matter of time. I know there's many people out there right now. They haven't had their grandchildren talk to them. They haven't had their mother, their father, their relatives talk to them. But I'm thinking that's all going to change. So let's just hope and pray that that's all going to happen. And it is happening. You know, sometimes it's so hard to really put things in perspective. And I want you guys to just stop and give it some thought here for a second. Notice what's been going on in the Watchtower. Notice all the empty seats at conventions, empty seats at the meetings. You know what really has destroyed the Jehovah's Witnesses? COVID. COVID. That is the great cult killer. That did a job on the Jehovah's Witnesses. People had some time to stop and think. And what happens when people can stop and think? A lot happens. They can stop and think about how evil the organization has been, and they can say, I don't want to be part of it anymore. And that's what happened during COVID. So that's good news. And I'll tell you what, we've been reporting here on the 6 screens for many, many years, and we've never been able to really get points up on the scoreboard. But now we're starting to get points. And all of us just keep your heads erect, and we're going to see this all happen. So have you heard about the elder training school? Jeez, I'm going to tell you. I mean, how stupid can they watch? You know what they're doing at the elder training school? I have a number of elders that have given me information on what they're doing and what they're learning. So when the elders go to the training school, what elders go to, what they're doing is they are role playing. Yeah, this is the recent elders school they've been attending. And what they're doing is the elders are practicing, they're role playing when the witnesses are going to be arrested by having what they do is they have one elder who plays the role of a policeman or an interrogator, a stormtrooper, whatever you want to call them. And then they have the other elders playing the Jehovah's Witnesses. So what they're doing is in the school, I got a verbatim here exactly what they're saying. So the interrogator, making believe he's a stormtrooper. So he's asking the elders, sir, I want to know a list of where the Jehovah's Witnesses live. Now, this is screwy. So the stormtrooper wants to know a list of where the Jehovah's Witnesses are living. So, well, sorry, sir, the elders come back. This is like a regular script they're following. Sorry, sir, we can't tell you where the Jehovah's Witnesses live. And then the interrogator says, well, I'm going to hurt your family if you don't tell me. And then he keeps getting louder. I'm going to hurt your family if you don't tell me where the Jehovah's Witnesses live. Yeah, that's the training. That's the training that they're going through right now. And my guess is that they're doing this training, and it appears to be worldwide. This just isn't here in this country. So what I'm seeing here is they're doing practices of this. They're getting together and practicing how they're going to lie, to the government or the stormtroopers. They're not going to give the names of where the Jehovah's Witnesses live. Friends, is this religion? Has this religion gone bonkers? I mean, is it for real anymore? Is this a true religion? It's not. I mean, we know that, right? So this is exactly how it's going to play out. I'm telling you right now, they're practicing because I really feel that it's only a matter of time. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, the elders particularly, are going to be questioned. They're going to be interrogated by the authorities for a number of reasons. And the Watchtower knows it. They just know it, but they're not sure how or when it's all going to happen. So, the witnesses for years have been preparing or prepping persecution. Oh, we're going to be persecuted. Oh, Satan, the devil, is going to attack us. They've been saying this for years. And now it's getting down to the nitty gritty. And it's only a matter of time, friends. And I have to tell you, I feel this firmly. I believe it's only a matter of time before the handcuffs are put on these witnesses for actual crime. Yes, I can see this happening. And they will be asking about, they're going to come and ask the elders, where are they? They're not going to, the average Jehovah's Witness is not going to jail. The average Jehovah's Witness doesn't have to defend himself from the stormtroopers. The witnesses, the Watchtower has everyone believing everyone's going to be questioned. No, no, no. The ones that will be questioned are the elders and the interrogators. The authorities at hand will be asking the elders, where are the pedophiles? Where are the pedophiles? The authorities know there's a lot of pedophiles in the Watchtower organization, and the authorities know they've been hiding pedophiles. But the Watchtower will just come by if they ever are interrogated, which I know they will be. But when they begin to be interrogated by the authorities, well, the Watchtower will just say to the rank and file, this is persecution. This is the great tribulation beginning. We know how the Watchtower works. Friends, right now, Jehovah's Witnesses are violating human rights and other laws, and they will be arrested. The only real crime that I can see right now that the Jehovah's Witnesses are engaged in is covering up, hiding child sex abuse. Now, some will say, well, Rick, what about shunning? Well, shunning really isn't a crime. But I'll tell you what, the governments, the nations of the world, including Norway and Belgium and Japan, they're beginning to look at shunning. They're beginning to look at shunning as perhaps even making it a crime, really, because of the hurt, because of the damage that it does to families. So, anyways, the interrogating is going to be by the police, and they're going to be searching at the outset for child sex abusers and their co-conspirators. Well, who would be the co-conspirators? Well, that would be any elder in the congregation that's deliberately covering this up. Yeah. So the witnesses in this elder training session, they're training for when the judge asks them, where are the pedos hiding? Where are they? You think I'm all wet my thinking? You think I'm going overboard? No, this is already happening, friends. I'll tell you right now, in Pennsylvania, it's too late. It's way too late for the elders to start practicing how they're going to handle the interrogation. They're already being interrogated. Some of the elders are already being sent to prison. So this is not a pipe dream. This is something that I just didn't concoct and say, hey, this will make a good sensationalized story. It's already happening. And the police in Pennsylvania, the authorities are going after the Watchtower for covering up child sex abuse. So, the elders, they go to the training school. Oh, they go to the training school. We are so happy to be elders. And, the training school is keeping us one step ahead. Yeah, they feel like there's something special. The elders feel like there's something really special because they're getting insight from the faithful and discreet slave. I mean, that is crazy stuff, isn't it? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the lines. And I want to see if anyone has anything they want to talk about. You heard some thoughts on here tonight. So let's open up the lines. Let's put it in open mode.
Q&A session is over. All participants are unmuted.
All right, now we're gonna mute all.
All participants are muted.
So if you want
and they can unmute themselves.
If you want to speak up and say something, go ahead, hit *6 and say hello to me. What do you think? What do you think about Elders School? What do you think about the mass exodus? Any thoughts at all on that? Now's the time. Hit *6 and you'll be unmuted. You're on with us. Go ahead, speak up. All right. Well, anyways, we'll move to the next story. So we're going to go back on to question. Yes.
Hi. Thank you so much for bringing that out. I find it interesting to me that this is further indoctrination, mind control tactics of Watchtower on the elders. They're being programmed to see being questioned as persecution from Satan's world. And an objective person looking at the big picture would see that if they're asking for basically criminals, and basically criminals who are horrendously horrible toward children, the elders being trained with this training are not going to see it that way. They're already being programmed to see anybody who challenges the Watchtower's authority is challenging Jehovah and his organization. We must obey God as ruler rather than men. Their minds are so taken over. That's why Watchtower only wants company men, obedient, in-step marching, robotic, perfectly programmed Watchtower drones. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. Always good to hear from you. Thank you very much. So what do you guys think? What do you think of the Elders Training School? What do you think about the mass exodus that's taking place? If you don't want to talk about it, we'll move to the next story. So let's do that. I'm going to put everybody right now back in question mode. So let's do that right now. Question and answer.
Q&A session has started.
All right. So anyways, we do have people back in the question and answer mode. So let's just go on with our stories. Let's go on with announcements and reminders. Well, I tell you all the time, we have a friend. He goes by the name Atlantis. And what Atlantis does is he's an insider. And I can't tell you where, but I do know where. But it's a pretty high office of the Watchtower. And I've been in conversation with Atlantis. And I thank him for sending me information, specifically announcements and reminders. And when we were all witnesses, remember, we used to, in the service meeting, they would read the announcements and reminders. And we all would listen with intentness, trying to see what the Watchtower was going to teach us next. Well, he sends me those announcements and reminders, and I'm going to read a portion of it. There was a 3-letter announcement and reminder that the elders would read to the congregation. But let me just do this. Let me put a portion. Well, anyways, what it was is they're talking about the convention, a 2024 special convention. And this is what really is the buzz right now going around in the witness world, is there's a special convention that only special ones will be able to go to. Well, let me read this to you. Let me get in here and find the little special announcement here. And I'll read you what basically it says. Well, there it is right there. So it's talking about applicants. You can see it if you're on YouTube and Facebook. It says all applicants should meet one of the following requirements as of January 1st, 2024. So they're having a special convention for 2024, but don't really plan on going. There's some pretty strict qualifications in order to go. So anyways, it says 19, you have to be 19 years of age or older and serve as elders, as ministerial servants, or in some forms of full-time service. So that eliminates a lot of people right there, right? And then it goes on to say you have to be baptized for 20 years or longer. The baptized baptized mates of such ones may apply as well. But wait a minute, so someone did some fuzzy math here, right? And so at first it says you have to be 19 years of age or older. Then the very next bullet point, it says that you have to be baptized for 20 years. So how could you be, 19 or older and be baptized for 20 years? You couldn't be if you were 19. I mean, really, what, you get baptized in your mother's womb or something? So that is very, very crazy. So it gives a little rundown, but I'm going to give you more than that. Let me get this off the screen. I'm gonna actually read portions of the letter, because the letter really it ticked me off. The letter really ticked me off. So let me read you some of the letter. Let's get right into the letter, so you'll understand what the content of the letter is. So this letter was actually written to the congregation on August 31st, 2023. So that's only about a week ago. So it says, for congregation service committees, the 2024 special conventions, we are pleased to inform you that the governing body has given approval for 15 special conventions to be held during the year 2024, the convention season. So then it gives a little more information on getting a hold of the secretary and letting him know and filling out the applications. But this is what frosted my cookies. This is what really irritated me when I read this. Applicant requirements. Now there's a 3-page summary of what you have to do, how you have to require, how special you gotta be to go to the 2024 special convention. So now listen in here. This is absolutely nutty. This is nutty. Applicant requirements. Carefully review the information under the headings applicant requirements and explanation of applicant requirements in the applicant instructions. The applicant instructions are also included with the online application. So you can fill out an application online if you want to go to the convention. So now this is what really got my attention. The very next bullet point, I mean, right at the outset, it goes and it says this: do not apply to be a delegate if you have serious health problems or are unable to stand or walk for long periods, or if you require a wheelchair, or if you have other mobility issues. All right. Well, I can understand that to a certain degree, but in view of what the Watchtower has done over the years, I think they could show a little bit of favoritism, a little bit of love to disabled ones. Yeah, there are disabled Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Watchtower takes advantage of them. It really does, by using them as examples in the ministry work. But when it comes to letting a disabled one, heaven forbid, a disabled one going to a convention, no way would that have happened. So that's what ticked me off. And that's what got me thinking tonight to get this on the news, because I wanted to talk about it, because it really is fascinating to me how the Watchtower appeals to be so helpful to people with disabilities. That is totally inaccurate. That is wrong. Now I'm going to play a video. Yeah, there is a video. I want to play this video. You have to see it. Well, let me see if I can't get it up here so that you will be able to see it. So just give me a second, because I want to, first of all, I got to get it onto the screen. So I got to share a screen here. So it's dealing with, okay, online. And here we are right here. So what I want to do is I'm going to share this video, And there is a woman, her name is Sabrina, and she is in this video on jw.org, and she's a disabled person, I mean, really handicapped. When you hear the story, I'll play a little clip, few clips, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is what's ticking me off. This is what's really ticking me off. The Watchtower is emphatically saying if you have a hard time walking, if you are disabled, do not apply to come to the 2024 special convention. Let's listen to Sabrina. Let's play the video. I want you to hear it. Let's play it right now. I think you'll enjoy it.
We're sure to find brothers and sisters, young and old, who can use our help in a spiritual or practical way. Sometimes when we look, we're amazed at what some with seemingly impossible limitations are already doing for themselves with the help of God's Spirit. Imagine wanting to study the Bible and preach the good news in spite of a severe handicap. We met a sister who from birth faced that very challenge.
I'm Sabina Hernandez, and I'm from Panama. I have the honor of participating in theocratic activities. I just have to do it a little differently, but I enjoy it just the same. Well, I was born handicapped.
It was a C-section birth with a lot of complications.
So I can't use my hands and feet as fully as most people can. I can't walk.
We went to the doctors every week, and I would miss work just to take her. They helped her with her therapy, and I had to do a lot of things for her at home.
The doctors wanted to keep me for some medical experiments, but my mom flat out refused to accept that idea. But thankfully, my mind is normal, although some of my friends tell me I have a few screws loose, but I don't think so. As far as growing up in the neighborhood in Chorrillo, everything was normal. I used to fight with my brothers all the time, and I played with all the kids in the neighborhood.
Well, we'll stop it right there. We're going to move on. I'm going to slide forward because I want you to hear more of Sabrina. What a poor woman. And it really is a shame that she has such a terrible handicap. But she is a true witness, as it is. And she loves Jehovah and Jehovah's organization. But I'm going to fast forward to 2022. And this is how she actually gets along in life. Let me just move up here a little bit. 2022, somewhere right around here. Listen how difficult it is. I'm really, my heart goes out for this woman. Listen how difficult it is for her to even get around and how she does it to some degree.
It all happened gradually, but I knew that what I was learning was very valuable. I can't say it was because of one particular scripture or anything like that. It was really just getting to know the very personality of Jehovah and the way the brothers and sisters treated me. In order to go to the Kingdom Hall or to the assemblies, the brothers have to carry me. And of course, as I kept...
I'm just going to move back here. I think I missed a part I want you to see. This part really got me thinking on how she actually...
But I knew that what I was learning was very valuable.
Well, I missed that part, but I'll just tell you what it was. The only movement that she really has is with her tongue. So she turns pages in the Bible with her tongue. And it's really, I mean, the poor woman suffers a lot. But, the Watchtower is using her as an example here on how it is that even handicapped people can participate in the ministry. I'm going to fast forward here. Let's get down to I'm going to go down to 320. Let's try that, 320. And, here it is with okay. All right, let's go down to 320. Just bear with me here. Just fast sliding. Well, now just listen to what goes on here and see if you can get the gist of where I'm going.
Door to door. I have a little list of phone numbers that I've put together from homes in our congregation's territory.
People that know me have come up to me and said, I got a phone call from your daughter the other day. And I was like, what? My daughter?
The sisters are so kind, and they support me by bringing some of their Bible studies to my house so that I can share with them in the study. What I can't do with my hands, I can do almost anything with my tongue. I type on the computer with a pencil or pen, and then when it's ready, I print it, fold it, and put it into an envelope. Then I take it to sisters at the Kingdom Hall. They're my secretaries, and they leave it at Nodded Homes, where the householders are out working. It really makes you happy because you know it makes others happy.
I left a letter that Sabina had written with an unmarried.
So there you are. There's the Watchtower showing Sabrina, really handicapped woman, can't use her arms, can't use her legs, but they're wheeling her around in service. She's writing letters with her tongue, and there were a pen in her tongue and hitting the computer board, then folding the letters, and then the other pioneer sisters would bring them out and leave them under the door. Look at that, is amazing. It really is amazing, but I see where the Watchtower is going with this. Yeah, you know where they're going, but I want you to see the end, and then we'll discuss. I want you to see the very end, because this is the crux of the matter. You know, they put together pretty good videos. I will say that jw.org is getting pretty good with their video presentations. But let's go right down here. I'm going to slide right down to 535. Now, you watch what happens here in 535. This is nothing but an infomercial for pioneers. We need more pioneers. Listen to this.
This month, as an auxiliary pioneer.
Okay, wait a minute. So Sabrina becomes an auxiliary pioneer. Listen in here.
I will really keep fast hold of you with my right hand of righteousness.
Sister Sabina Hernandez has been approved this month as an auxiliary pioneer.
Because if Sabina can do it, all the rest of us can too.
Wow, you can hear the music, you can hear the the emotionalism in the whole thing. See, this is amazing what the Watchtower is doing lately. I mean, they're really dealing with people's emotions. But let me tell you something. This is what I got out of this whole thing. I found it very, very interesting. Geez, the Watchtower is exploiting people. That's how I'm looking at this. You know, in that video clip, Sabrina, the handicapped woman, she says that with Jehovah, I can almost do anything. Well, she can't, I mean, with the exception of attending the special convention. Now, here they are using her as the poster child. You know, here's a woman, no legs. She has legs, but she can't work them. She has little hands, but they won't work. She has to do things with her tongue. So here we have a woman extremely handicapped. And our heart goes out for her. We're not in any way making fun of her, obviously. But here we have a woman that's being used, exploited by the Watchtower, and, trying to get more people to pioneer. If Sabrina can do it, you can do it. But, if she's doing this great work for you, couldn't you make it an exception, Watchtower, and bring poor Sabrina to the convention? Could you bring it to the 2024 convention? Okay, it might cost you a little extra. You might have to get a special room or something for her. But look at everything she's doing for you. Friends, this is exploitation at its greatest. Yeah, they use other people with disability to guilt other Jehovah's Witnesses to do more. That's what they've done for years. Can you see that now? Does this all make sense to you? I mean, if Sister Iron Lung can be a regular pioneer, Why can't you? See, that's the, oh my goodness, what an evil organization. So, for years, they've exploited the single mothers, the mentally incoherent ones in the organization, poor families, and they would always use these ones that, well, they were doing things with Jehovah and they were handicapped. Why can't you do it? Yeah, so this exploitation is enough to make anybody dangerous. But I'm going to show you probably the greatest example of exploitation ever in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I got it right here. See that right there? Oh, yes. There it is right there. Look at that. Right there on the Awake magazine cover, you have a number of children that were martyrs. They died. There's about 20, 25 of them on that front cover that have given their life up to the organization for refusing blood. And the organization is using them as an example of martyrs, as an example that all people should follow these young kids. They were so faithful to Jehovah. That's probably the worst example of exploitation, or the best example of exploitation ever in the Watchtower. Boy, I have to tell you, the Watchtower, they have to realize how disgusting they are at some point, I would think. I mean, is there anybody there that has a heart? They have to really, just not work for their own goodness and satisfy their own needs. Why can't they help some of these medically hurt people, these people with disability? They spend a lot of money on a lot of other things, a little bit more money to help some of the handicapped people, and even using Sabrina as a poster child for disabilities in the Watchtower. I mean, come on, let's get real, Watchtower. Give Sabrina a break. Help her out a little bit. See, the Watchtower, they only care about appearance. So this 2024 special convention, they're going to have the best of the best, all the fit and trim, all of the ones who qualify, the good-looking ones, the ones that have a few extra bucks. They have nice suits. They have nice clothes. They're going to bring them to a convention, and they'll take these pictures and, oh, how wonderful it looks to the world. They don't want Sabrina there. They don't want to have people see, gee, they have difficulties with people too, having disabilities. They don't want to show that. They don't want to show people in wheelchairs. They don't want to be real. So they want to use these disabled people. They want to use them to get more money. That's what they're doing. They're using them to get more money. So their concern, the Watchtower concern, extends only as far as themselves. It doesn't go a millimeter further. It's all about Watchtower. Oh, they can tell you, oh, we love all the crippled people and disabled people, except we don't want you coming to the international conventions. Crippled people are bad for press. Old people are bad for press. Yeah, they want healthy young people that look good. That's great for the press. The organization only wants perfect worshipers. Everybody else makes them look bad. Isn't that a shame? Isn't that a shame? And if you think I'm just trying to find some sensationalism or to make a bigger story out of something that shouldn't be a big story, you guys know. You've been to the conventions. You heard the people getting up and giving talks. You had these sisters come up and talk about how they're pioneering. Did they pick sisters that weren't appealing? Did they pick sisters that weren't attractive or brothers that weren't handsome? For the most part, no. It was always a handsome brother or a pretty sister, dressed really nice, and they would use them. What about the lady in the audience that was overweight? Did they bring her up? Did they let her do a little talk? Absolutely not. They only use, for the most part, they only use the good-looking, the elite witnesses. So there you go. I just wanted to bring it up. But, I think of things We know biblical verses here in passages that can mean a lot. By their works, you shall recognize them. By their works, you shall recognize them, and all will know who my disciples are by their works. Well, Watchtower, I have to say, your works do not show me or other true Christians that your works are fine. Your works are reprehensible. So, it's just a fantastic thing that us that have wiggled our way loose can now see it, but we could not see it when we were in the Watchtower. So, anyways, let's see if we can move on here and get some questions and answers, see if anyone wants to speak up about this. I think it's something that someone might like to. So we're going to mute all. So
Q&A session is over.
All right.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
If you want to come in and say hello to me, if you want to bring some thoughts up about what I just brought up, it looks like we do have, it looks like Shirley out of New York City. Go ahead, Shirley.
Yeah, I was going to mention Rick Beck. My father died in 98, and he was sick for 2 years before that. So now, my mother had to get him up, get him dressed. The district assembly was in Belmont here in Queens for New York. A brother in our congregation took care of him, make sure I got his lunch, took him to the bathroom, this and that. This is not the mindset of witnesses now to show love. They're not doing that anymore.
Oh, no. Well, that's what they're saying. They're not concerned with people that can't, that have a handicap. Even the old people are kind of leaving them behind too, Shirley.
So, like that brother, I won't miss the thing. My father back in 96 and 97, I guess it was, because he died in 98. Now, if he sees a handicapped brother or sister, wouldn't they just walk away? Is that what they're saying? What's going on? That's totally crazy. The loving organization, as my mother always said it was, and all that. What's going on with that?
Well, that's why we brought it up. That's why we brought it up. It's not the loving organization. It never was the loving organization. It's getting worse, Shirley.
True. It never was. Yeah. Also, I remember sister when we used to the circuit assembly at the Bliss Theater in Long Island City. I remember quite a few times there was a sister there, not the sister you show, but there was a sister there that came in on a gurney to attend the meetings. And every time, like the ladies' room, every time they had to take her there, they had to kick everybody out because it was a small ladies' room to attend to the sister. So there were sisters back in the day, people back in the day. Such medical problems like that. She was on a gurney.
Yeah.
So what? That's not allowed anymore either?
I guess not. Things are changing. Things are changing. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you very much for calling in. Always good to talk to you. Thank you. All right, let's move on. We got to let's go with area code 480. 480, you're on with us.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay. One thing I was thinking of is this lady takes a lot of medical care, and I'm sure it's very expensive. I'll bet you almost anything the witnesses are not paying for any of that. They're depending on the government and social services for all that.
Well, you're probably right with that. Right. That's what they tell people. Don't come to us looking for any help or money. Go to the government. They're the ones that can help you. Thank you, caller. Thank you for coming in and talking with us. All right, we're going to go to 978. Looks like Richard Borgie. Go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, good evening, Rick. I think you're right on point. We're talking about they don't want people because it's not good for the image. I remember back in '85, servants and elders in a room with the circuit overseer, and he wanted us to vote whether or not we should disfellowship people that were fat. And it said because, being fat is detrimental to your health, like cigarette smoking, and we can disfellowship people for cigarette smoking, or we can disfellowship people for being fat, and they wanted us to vote on it. And I remember challenging the circuit overseer, saying, it was like Gestapo, the race, and all this stuff. They didn't want fat people going door to door. They wanted to fellowship them. Evidently, they felt that the ransom blood of Jesus Christ only covered skinny people. Thank you.
Well, there you go, Dick. Yeah, no, I remember telling that story. That's a good story. All right, we had some other callers that just disappeared. If you want to come back on, now's the time to do it. But yeah, the Watchtower takes advantage. Okay, we have got the 503. Come on 503, run with us.
Question I have is, I remember that Awake magazine, they published pictures of the children that had been died because they didn't get blood transfusions. But I think they were 25. We would be outraged if a serial murderer published the pictures of the victims and spread them around. But nobody seems to be concerned about the serial murder Jehovah's Witnesses are. They killed all these children because they didn't let them have blood transfusions.
Well, that's a real good. That's a good point. Yes. Yeah. No. In fact, I showed that. I did have a picture of that. The children. Yeah. Well, let's see. What magazine was this? This was May 22nd, 1994. Awake magazine. There it is, right there. There's the picture of the Awake. There's the kids. Yeah, 25. You can see the little grayed out areas there in the back. 25 children that gave their life up of refusing blood but became martyrs in the Watchtower. Very good to find.
My point is,
yeah.
My point is, in any other environment, any other magazine, nobody would publish pictures of children they murdered, but the Watchtower does.
Yeah, it's kind of appalling that they would even do that. I'm surprised that the parents would even allow them. I'm sure they had to get permission from the parents, but I'm even surprised. I wouldn't want my dead child's picture on the front of a magazine that actually the organization caused their death. Well, what's wrong with the witnesses? It's nuts. But thank you for calling in, 503. Always good to hear from you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we do have, was it Anne-Marie? Did Anne-Marie want to say something? I saw her in, then she disappeared. But if Anne-Marie wants to come back in, she can. Go ahead, Anne-Marie. Yep.
Thank you so much for referring back to how important image is to the Watchtower and who they use in pictures in the magazines and on the stage at the conventions. We had a lovely sister in a nearby congregation named Jean Tobirin, and she was very, very loving, and she was a regular pioneer month after month, year after year. And she was not of much means financially, dirt poor, but she was always faithfully serving. And she was so full of love and so kind, but she was older. She had short, chopped hair. She was not attractive. She had a large nose. And, you know, she was big. She was like in her late 50s, and she was a very big woman. But she was so loving and so faithful and so full of love and loyalty. And do you think the circuit ever used her in their demonstrations? Ever? She was so loved and so admired and respected in our circuit that a bunch of brothers and sisters got together and bought her a car because she needed a car so badly in her pioneer work, and never once was she used in a demonstration as far as I know. Thank you so much, Rick.
Well, there you go, Anne-Marie. That speaks volumes. It looks like we've got Shirley back with us. Go ahead, Shirley.
Yeah, what I was going to say, you showed the picture of those children. You said they gave up their life. No, a child cannot make that decision. Their parents made that decision. They had no choice. Their policy-thinking parents did that. 8-year-old and 9-year-old, the doctor doesn't ask the 8-year-old and 11-year-old, do you want blood or do you not want blood? They go to the guardian. So no, the children, they had no choice. That was their parents. So the kids, all those kids on the cover, they had no choice in that at all.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's true. Thank you for correcting me on that, because it's true. It was the parents, and
right, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. No, that's true. So their parents. I mean, could you imagine that? Could you imagine letting your child die? I can't imagine it, but it did happen. Thank you, Shirley. Always good to hear from you. Okay, let's go back. We get 978. Looks like Dick Boogie once again. Go ahead, Dick. Okay, are you on with us, Dick? If not, let's move back to 503. 503. All right. 503 now. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. It's a Canadian protester. I just have a couple of questions for you in regards to this Special Assembly of 2024. Do you know where it's located? And also one comment about applying. It says you have one of the following. So I think you can have one of the following, I think there's 4 categories. I think that was in just the instructions there. So I think that it doesn't mean you have to have all of those, but just one, one or more of the 4. I don't know if I got that wrong.
Yeah, I got the letter here in front of me. As far as how many conventions, there's going to be 15 special conventions. Now, Canadian protesters, they're calling them special conventions. Now, in the past, they've been called international conventions. So I don't know if they're, rebranding it and going to call it special conventions. But there is a 3-page application form. Well, the form isn't 3 pages, but the instructions are actually 3 pages. Of course, it's dealing first and foremost with health reasons. And, I will cut the Watchtower some slack here a little bit. I mean, I can't be totally beating them up. If someone's really not doing good, they're older, they have problems with their legs. Well, it might be best they don't go because you might have to do a lot of walking. But the reason why I brought Sabrina up in that video is, she's been used by the Watchtower. Make a special provision for people, bring them to the convention. What's it going to cost you? Bring them to the convention. Let them be happy.
I know why this is happening, actually. I think the reason why they're saying nobody that can't, that anybody that cannot walk or is disabled or crippled of some sort can't come, because they put out word that they need medical professionals to come and assist and volunteer at Bethel and probably at assemblies, and they're losing all of those people because of the blood policy. I don't think anybody wants to do that. And so for them to bring in an outside, say, a St. John ambulance or some sort of an ambulatory care is expensive. And so I think they're just eliminating that problem per se. Maybe they're actually renting facilities that are not wheelchair accessible.
Well, yeah, no, you got a good point with that. They're suggesting. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, for them it's cheaper.
Oh, it's a lot cheaper. But I mean, I'm sure that it's in one's best interest, if they're not doing well, not to go. But what I'm thinking is, this woman Sabrina, that she kind of touched my heart a little bit. The total handicapness that she's suffering from. But what a good PR move that would even be on Watchtower's part. If somebody said, "Look, bring Sabrina. We've had to do a video and encouraging people to pioneer. Bring Sabrina. Let's get Sabrina there. Let's get some people to help her and get her there." That would be, boy, that would be wonderful.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing. Why are they making a choice for the person who is handicapped? That's their choice. If they feel they can get there through wheelchair access, mobility, transport, or whatever the case may be, that is what Sabrina lives for. She lives for the organization. And to say you're not allowed because you're handicapped, that is called discrimination. And I think that those people should sue if they aren't too brainwashed. I would sue. That is not even a legal thing that you can do. You can't tell people that you may not come if you're handicapped. You should always have wheelchair accessible. And some sort of, with that amount of people, there are laws. You have to have medical professionals. So they're trying to skirt something. They're trying to skirt some, there's some loopholes happening, and at the expense of the people that give their all, like Sabrina. It's sickening.
Isn't it something? Because, I have to tell you, too, that, today, if a handicapped person is traveling, like even at the airports, a few years back with my former wife, she was having a difficult walk while walking. She used to get seizures. And so I just told the airlines before we booked the flight that my wife might have a little difficult time walking. Boy, as soon as we landed, as soon as we got to the airport, even before we got on the plane, some assistants came out. A couple of people came out. You, Mr. Farron? Yes. Is this your wife? Yes. Well, you come with us. Boy, they gave us special service, special seats and everything. I couldn't believe it. And even when the plane landed, well, we're going to help your wife to be able to get off okay. Don't you worry, Mr. Farron. Boy, they really not, and it's even more so today. They go out of their way to help handicapped people. And even when handicapped people are traveling, if they even go to some sporting events or even movie theaters or plays, many times they're let in for free because of their handicap. Yeah. The world is looking at them and feeling somewhat bad for them and saying, let's help these people. Is the Watchtower doing this? Absolutely not.
No. They should be taking Sabrina. They should be taking Sabrina, buying her a plane ticket, and getting her on that platform to give her experience. Put her up in a hotel. But no, they have to get all the governing body, their plush, private plane, and their big fat meals, and their whiskey, and everything that they want. But they have to discriminate against the people that are challenged and want to be there. And I think that because they put that information in a document saying that you must be able to walk, that is a reason to sue that organization up the yin yang.
Well, I did a little research on that Canadian protester. Religious organizations cannot be sued for not going along and doing the necessary things that you have to do for handicapped people. You know, in the business world, if you're going to build a Chevrolet dealership, you have to put ramps up. If you have a second story, you're going to put elevators in. You have to really accommodate people that are handicapped. But I didn't realize, I was checking it today, but religions are exempt from that. They don't have to, churches don't have to put up ramps. If it's a multi-story church, they don't have to have elevators. They don't have to have bathrooms that, are wheelchair accessible. They don't have to have it. They're exempt. Isn't that something?
Well, I mean, I don't know about Canada, because I'm telling you something. I know a lot of people that have disabilities that have not been able to get into a certain location, and they've been able to launch that into a complaint with, the political party or with the, whoever's governing their particular town, and say, look, these people aren't accommodating me, and this is going against my right to be treated like a human. But you know what? Jehovah's Witnesses are supposed to have really high standards, higher than the world standards. But what they're going to lower themselves to spit on the people that live for them. It's sick. Anyway, that's all, Rick. Have a great night.
Well, thank you. Always good to hear from Canadian protesters. Thank you very much. Good to have you come in. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt again. Thank you. May I comment on what the Canadian protester just said?
Of course.
I agree. I think she is so right on the money. And further, like she said, it's probably cheaper to rent a place that doesn't have all this, not crippled people, but disabled people. The thing is, I think it's two things. They're always crunching the numbers and wanting to look good. They're thinking about their image and what is going to best serve them and where are they going to save the most money. If they don't say, if you're disabled, you need some assistance walking or you have to be in a wheelchair, don't come, we don't want you. They just advise you not to come. But there are two reasons, I think. One, it saves money, but worse, how many children and babies and people have suffered from heat stroke or exhaustion? One, they don't have to have all the medical people around. And two, they're saving themselves an embarrassment of somebody having a stroke or a heart attack or passing out from heat or whatever. Remember, most of the faithful of the Watchtower today, as far as I can see, are older. And a lot of them do have health problems because they've been in the organization so long that of course they've succumbed to a lot of old people troubles. Number two, that would leave everybody in the audience being of the younger, healthier generation. So all of those photographs that people take, it's going to be young, healthy, vibrant looking people. Thank you, Rick.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, go ahead, Mother.
Hey, Rick.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mother. Mother first. Go ahead, Mother.
Hi, Rick. I hope I'm understanding this correctly, because I've been kind of in and out of the room for the last 30 minutes or so. But it sounds like that now this is for the 2024 convention?
Yes.
That they're having an international convention, which they do that every so often anyway.
Yeah, they're calling it special
When
convention.
and when you want to be a part of the traveling delegates, the international delegates, you do have to fill out an application. And I don't know if you recall, it might have been maybe almost 10 years ago. There was a video circulating among the Facebook apostate groups that actually showed and explained what the deal is with these international people. And I know that you might remember yourself attending an international convention where a lot of these delegates were not necessarily from the United States, but from foreign countries, and would be encouraged to wear their costumes of their native country. Is this what we're talking about, or is something changed entirely? Because what I understood is that the delegates do have to fill out an application. Some of them can get sponsored, but otherwise they're mostly very wealthy Jehovah's Witnesses who will have to pay for this trip themselves, but they all travel together from convention to convention. Am I wrong about that? Where'd you go?
I think you're wrong. It's been on for 6 hours.
Erica, what did you have to say? Go ahead and talk for a few minutes. I just got to go answer the door.
Well, I don't think that's just wrong. My aunt went to one of those assemblies. She had to pay her own way, and she wore her native costume. One of the questions I had is that the society, they got fined or get charged every day. It was a long time back that they don't, because they're not turning over the records, they're getting fined every day from the court, like hundreds of thousands of dollars every day, aren't they? Does anybody have any information about that?
Off topic.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Express that in a little.
No, it isn't. Because wait a minute. No, it isn't, because I've never known the society or witnesses to help anybody with their medical expenses. Even they don't help with that, but they don't even. These people, what I understand is that the delegates, most of them are wealthy couples, and they have to pay for a large amount of money for their accommodations and these bus tours and things. So that's what I was wondering about. And then I also wanted to get thoughts from any of you long-timer, old-timers, like myself, that I remember that at these large conventions, they did have a first aid station, sort of like where they would keep administration and accounting. And so they were usually equipped with
maybe a registered nurse or something, and the ability to get an ambulance if it was needed, but otherwise to take care of people who were having a heat stroke or getting in trouble that way. So, but I'm curious about the slant.
Yeah, let me come in. I had
what exactly it is.
I mean, what's the question? I mean, I'm sorry I had to leave. I had to go take care of a door. Someone's at the door. So what were you saying? What's the major thing you're trying to get across?
That I wonder if the letter is being slanted properly, in the sense that what I recall of these international conventions is that the delegates would have to pay their own way for the most part, or else get sponsors to pay their way to get on those tour buses and pay for their overnight stays.
Yeah,
and they would sometimes during the convention parade them through very often in their native costumes.
Yeah, well, we're not talking anything about that tonight. That hasn't been brought up. Well, we're talking about.
But it was an international convention.
Yeah, it's a special. It's a special convention, but we're not talking about native garb or anything. We're talking about how they don't really want disabled people to go. That's what we're talking about.
That's always been that way for those delegates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what the subject's been tonight. So it really, raised an eyebrow for many people listening in. I mean, they don't want them there. Just don't even, the very first thing on the 3-page letter.
So they just don't want them committing to that trip.
Yeah, I mean.
It's grueling.
Well, it's very grueling. Well, I think you're missing the point there. I mean, really, I'm not trying to beat you up, but what I'm saying is, if you saw the first part of the program, you'd get the gist of what's being said. We played a video of a woman that's totally.
I haven't left the house. I've been listening.
All right, so that's basically what we've been discussing. So the premise that we're trying to establish here is why can't Watchtower step in if they're going to use a person as a poster child for being disabled, and if they can pioneer, why can't others pioneer? Then show some special favoritism to the one that's being used as the poster child. You don't have to bring all disabled people, but bring some of these people you use. And what's it going to cost you? A few extra bucks. Put them up in a nice hotel room and have someone assigned to help them. Bring them to the convention. My goodness, that could be great PR for the Watchtower.
Yeah, I didn't.
That was the point I was trying to bring up. Aren't they being charged hundreds of thousands of dollars every day for not turning over records to the court?
Yes. So what's going to cost them? All right, good point. All right, let's move on. Okay. Let's hold on. Yes, I can. Let's go with the lady calling in. Go ahead. I believe it's Grace. Go ahead, Grace. Yeah.
Yeah. I was making a comparison to Auschwitz with Hitler and stuff, and how they divided people in 2 lines, and the disabled persons are in the bad line that goes to the ovens. So this is just really disturbing to me. Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, I can see where it would be disturbing. Yeah, I can see we can make a comparison like that. Thank you, Grace from Sweden. Thank you for coming in. All right, I believe, did we? Yeah, I believe, yeah, we got 312. Is that 312? Go ahead, run with us.
And this is Stefan.
Yes, Stefan.
I wanted to say 2 things. I might be extremely quick. One is going back to the topic that you led with, which was people leaving the organization. Just wanted to point out that in the MSN.com, I believe it was yesterday or Thursday, was a brief article that basically was showing worldwide that religion is losing its grip on people. And one of the reasons had to do with their mistreatment that they felt they met at the various churches. And so for that reason, people don't go to church anymore. So that ties directly into what you're saying. It's not just the witnesses, it's religion in general. And then secondly, there's always a question we kind of kicked around when we talk about Jehovah's Witnesses being a cult, and we talk about the Jim Jones cult. and whether the witnesses would drink the Kool-Aid. This ties in to what you just finished talking about with respect to the children being allowed to die for not having a blood transfusion. If you look at it from that perspective, I think it was Shirley who pointed out the kids are not making that decision, it's the grown-ups. In that respect, witnesses are already drinking the Kool-Aid. Jim Jones would do trial runs where the parents would give the children the Kool-Aid, which was actually flavored. He was doing this as a trial run, so when they actually did it, where they actually killed themselves, this is something they had already been used to doing. And so this is the same in Watchtower. If you're a witness, even a young one, you know that you're not allowed to have a blood transfusion. That's a trial run. So then when it actually happens, this kid is allowed to die. So they are already drinking the Kool-Aid. Thank you, Rick.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All righty. So let's see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, there's a lot. We keep, well, I think we did got Eric. Eric, you want to come in and say something? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to go along with what you were talking about with disabilities. I have one. It's called hemophilia, right? And so, like, when I was, like, 16 years old, my family, like my mom and my dad, they were like, we're going to go to a Fleetwood Mac concert. And they knew that I used to take their record players and listen to them, Michael Jackson. They actually had pretty good taste in music. So they knew I liked Fleetwood Mac, and they're like, we're going with another couple, you know them, and you want to come with us? And I said, yeah. So we went, and I had a handicap plate from the government, and right, we got treated like rock stars. Right away, like usually you wait in line, and you all this, like you got to wait forever just to pop. You cut your car. And not with a handicap plate. People greet you, everyone's nice. I'm just like, you know what? I get what you're saying. Why can't Watchtower this woman like that and other people with disabilities? What's holding them back from showing common love? If the government can do it, if people recognize that other people with disabilities need a little more love, you know, like, and I'm not trying to put the attention on myself. I'm just using it for your story and what you're talking about. But that's how I feel, buddy.
Well, that's what they do right now. I mean, really, you go to the airport in a wheelchair, they look out for you. They don't, wait for you to go ask. They'll reach right out to you. Someone wheels into Logan Airport here in Boston or LaGuardia in New York. They'll send an attendant out. They have people working on the airlines that just specifically are working for handicapped people. They reach out to you. So if companies can do it, like I say, Eric, why can't Watchtower? My goodness,
Right. And this was when Watchtower wasn't so evil. Like because I was walking and looking just normal and fine, right? One of the guys, the other couple, he was this black gentleman, and he said to me, "Hey, why don't you walk with a limp or something? you gotta sell it." And he was a funny guy. He told me that I was 16, and he told me, if you can get a few beers for us, I told your dad. I asked your dad if it was okay, you can have one. So I went right up to people and I asked them for beer. I got beer. I got to drink half a beer with everybody,
Yeah.
But like Watchtower, all of that is gone because they've shown who they are, Rick, and they don't even want to take care of handicapped people. They're so selfish. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, it looks like we do have another caller coming in. No name, but you're on with us. Is that Canadian protester?
You got it. I just wanted to say something about this whole discussion, which is really, it's important and fundamental, is that once again, Watchtower is discriminating against a group of people. And the actual name of this discrimination is called ableism. And it's a discrimination against people with disabilities, often linked to attitudes in societies that devalue and limit the potential of people with disabilities. Prejudicial attitudes is a result, and negative stereotyping and stigma. So, I think Canada has some stricter rules on this issue. There is an Accessible Canada Regulation Act that has come into effect December 2021. and it's very strict, and it is a human rights concern. And I'm wondering what locations are there any in Canada? The international or the special convention. Are there any in Canada? Because if there's anything near my town, I'm protesting.
All right. Well, let me tell you. I can tell you. Just give me a second here, and I can tell you exactly where they are. I'm going to look up right now and see if there's any in Canada. Guadeloupe, Finland, Iceland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Switzerland, Bulgaria, Fiji, France, Dominican Republic, Paraguay, Chile, and Chile. No Canada.
Interesting. Do you know why? They know they can get sued in Canada.
Oh, you're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah, no international convention in Canada. Yeah.
They are snakes in the grass, and they're just scum. I can't believe it. Now, why wouldn't they have a special assembly in Canada? I don't get it.
Well, I think what it is here is these specialist conventions, they're kind of more of a tour. You know, people, they want to go down to North America. They want to visit Paraguay and Finland and different countries. I think they say, well, why Canada? That's in North America. People won't probably want to go there. I mean, they don't have one here either.
Oh my
so
God.
that's probably. I mean, that's just my thoughts. I mean, I'm not sure why, but that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's for legal reasons, because they know if they pull that stunt in Canada, all of us ex-JWs be right on them like stink on a monkey.
Yeah. Well,
so there we go.
You get some good thoughts, Canadian protester. You're my kind of woman, so don't you ever change. You just say Canadian protester. Thank you. Good.
And let everybody know that, Rick, that I knew many of the people in the first aid department, and none of them were hired. They were all Jehovah's Witnesses who had maybe nurse training or previous doctor training or first aid training. And I think that they are definitely lacking in that department. And that's why they're saying, just don't come.
Well, could be. Could be. My goodness, no, it could be. That's one of the reasons. I certainly wouldn't discount that. Well, thank you. Always good to hear from Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Canadian. All right.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank
Bye.
you. All righty. So there you have it. Boy, I'll tell you what. I mean, that really raised the roof with the 2024 special convention, didn't it? Huh? Well, you're on JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. But we talk about it every Saturday night. We'll be talking about it tomorrow afternoon as well. We do a Sunday program, folks, if you haven't listened into our Sunday program. Now, on Saturday night, we don't get into scripture. We don't get into teaching, preaching, anything like that. We don't do it. We don't talk much about theological problems in the Watchtower. But on Sunday, we do. If you want to come in on Sunday, beginning tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we have Cochise Pendleton coming on. He's got a program called the Cochise Pendleton Hour. Cochise is out of Southern California. He's a Christian man. He's written the book, The Watchtower, the Bible versus the Watchtower. He's on at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And then at 1 o'clock, we have Knowing God After Leaving the Watchtower. And, well, these two guys come on and they talk about scriptures showing the Watchtower is incorrect in their teaching. And they're going to help you after leaving the Watchtower with scripture. And then we got a program, Sharing Your Jehovah's Witness Story. That's on at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We have a special guest coming in from United Kingdom, and her name is Sandra, and she'll be giving her story tomorrow on that program. And then, of course, at 3 o'clock, we do JW World News Sunday edition. Yes, we have the news tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And then at 4 o'clock, you don't want to miss the Christian Court. Oh, my goodness. These are questions asked in a Christian court, so to speak, that are peculiar. And you want to listen to some of the questions you're asked in the court. And then Jay Hassey answers your Bible questions at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, right here on the 6 screens Tele Network. All right, let's go to 978. Looks like Richard Borgie. Hello, Dick. Is Dick on with us? I guess not. All right, let's take a look and see what we have. Let me get back into my news. Well, let's talk about this. Let's move down here a little bit. Everything, I mean, we kind of touched on a little bit in the last news story, but everything in the Jehovah's Witness land in the Watchtower, as we know, is all about appearances. It's all about how you are viewed in the public, how they see you. And really, this is true. As a matter of fact, you're actually even judged spiritually on the way you look, the car you drive, the book bag you carry. You are actually judged by the Jehovah's Witnesses spiritually. In other words, if you're not dressing good, if your book bag is dirty, or your car is dirty and old, you're judged. I mean, do you have the right shoes? Do you have the right clothes? The right hair grooming? Do you wear too much jewelry? I mean, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're taught to be very judgmental, very judgmental. They teach each other how to judge and then tell them not to judge. You know, they say that, right? Well, don't judge your brother and sister, but they actually are teaching you how to judge them. But then they're constantly guilting you and making you feel judged, especially when the circuit overseer comes, right? Everyone's trying to make a good appearance for the circuit overseer. I've seen many of brothers get their hair cut just because the circuit overseer is coming. So the circuit overseer's visit is essentially a big judge fest. Yeah, you're really judged when the circuit overseer comes. Well, what does he think of me? That's exactly what takes place. I mean, we've been conditioned to all of this as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, they even judge you on what kind of a car you drive. Is it a two-door car or is it a four-door car? You know, if it's a two-door car, that's not suitable for the ministry. How do people get in and out? So they're very, very judgmental. I mean, for the brothers, men should not have hair over their ears or any length. It shouldn't be over your ears. If it is, that could be considered a sign of immorality. Did you know that? Yeah, in the witness world, if your hair is a little long, they would think that you're immoral. You have to wear a suit jacket and pants when you're out in service, and always match is a complete suit. They'd rather have you wear a suit than a sport jacket. In fact, some congregations wouldn't allow sport jackets in service or even at the meetings. You had to wear a suit. And yes, we know the shoes had to be polished, and the shirt would have to be white or very close to white, and no dark colored dress shirts. You couldn't wear like a dark blue or a black shirt. And then you couldn't wear bright colored suits or suits with more than one color. You could wear a pinstripe suit, but you couldn't wear like a pink or a purple suit. I mean, that would be a dead giveaway. You're not spiritual wearing something like that. And even your tie, you will be judged on your tie even. You know, is that tie too brightly colored? Does it have too many colors in it? And your pants would have to have cuffs, at least the time I was serving as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. It was recommended. It wasn't the rule, but they would prefer you had cuffs and suit jackets. I remember this. I remember because I was kind of counseled on this. Suit jackets or suits must be buttoned at all times. If you're going to go on the stage or you're out in service, your suit jacket has to be buttoned. Yes. They told you never, if you're giving a talk and even out in service, never put your hands in your pocket for even 1 second. And then when you got and you sat down, your legs must be close together. Yeah. And all of these crazy rules. And if you're holding a microphone, the microphone must be pointed just above the chin, not the mouth. So, I mean, all these different rules they had. And the sisters, they had rules too. Well, they had to wear skirts and dresses that came below the knee. And if they sat down and the knee is showing, that would be inappropriate. and they could never wear V-neck shirts or sweaters because that might show some of the cleavage. They could never do that. And they certainly weren't allowed to wear pantsuits. I know in the 70s and 80s, pantsuits were in. They looked good on ladies. But no. They couldn't wear them. And even heels, they had to wear moderate height heels. And they weren't to be real tall, but they prefer moderate height, not just flats. And they certainly couldn't have excessive jewelry or makeup. So, I mean, these are some of the rules that the Jehovah's Witnesses imposed. And of course, all the dresses had to be reasonable length. And see, all of these things. I mean, did you enjoy having to go by all of these rules? I can remember I had a beautiful suit that I loved when I was a young guy, only in my 20s. Geez, I couldn't have been any more than 22. And I really loved this green suit that I had. It was beautiful. And the only problem was it had military straps on it. Oh my goodness, I was read the riot act for that. You shouldn't be wearing a suit like that. That's not a conventional cut suit. And it was just terrible, some of the things that they imposed on you. So who'd like to, anyone want to speak up and talk about some of the rules that they were imposed with? Go ahead, you're on with us. Speak up, go ahead. Dickie, you out there? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I know the exact rules. I told the story before when he had Herb as a CO who came to our meeting. And when he came, he went out in service with us along with the district overseer. He took off his jacket and he had on a short sleeve shirt. And you should have seen all of us males stop and look at astonishment because we were only allowed to wear long sleeve shirts. They could only be white or blue. And when you went out in service, you had to not only have that jacket on, but it had to be black. Is anyone there?
Hello? Yeah, we all hear you.
I can hear you. I don't. Okay. I don't know
No,
where the went, but.
Oh, no, sometimes the phone cuts out. He'll be right there. But I often wondered, when did this change? Because when I was in the organization, all brothers not only had to wear only white dress shirts, but they had to be bright white. So if they didn't look good, too bad. And then all of a sudden I was seeing brothers with nice, beautiful ties, beautiful artwork and light green shirts and pink shirts and blue shirts. And I was wondering, what happened? When did this start? And then I heard your story of Brother Hurd and another brother, and you guys seeing them take off their suit jackets when you guys were always told to keep it on no matter what. And they had short sleeve shirts instead of long sleeve dress shirts, and they wore it bright white. And it's like once the higher ups in the Watchtower show a certain way, then all of a sudden it's like permission, right?
Hi, well, I don't know, 1970 or so, I was in the Watchtower. I'll be honest, all these rules that they're talking about, I never once ever ran into them as a pioneer ministerial servant. I was never criticized for the suits I wore. I always wore short sleeve because I hate long sleeve. I don't even own long sleeve shirts. So I always wore short sleeve, and I was never criticized for the color or the style the only thing that I recall really was when they got after the leisure suits. There was that period of time when brothers wore leisure suits. And I remember them coming down on that, and we stopped wearing leisure suits. But that's the only rule. I was never told to button my jacket up when I was on the stage or out door to door or anything like that. So, all these rules, honestly, I think it sounds like these elders were making up their own rules because they wasn't, What's up?
Sometimes the elders did exactly what you said, but it's also was regional. You'd be amazed at certain things that were done or not done in one part of the country, and it was totally acceptable in another part. It's regional. And to answer your question, Anne Marie, I don't believe there was ever any kind of an official, now you can
relax in your style of clothing. But what I would do is I would monitor the brothers that were given parts at the circuit assembly and district assembly, and when you saw them being able to do different things, you could do it. Because if an elder said, "Oh, well, why are you? Well, did you not see the brothers at the assembly?" And obviously, if it was okay for them, then it's okay for me. And they really can't challenge that. So that's what I would do. But I don't believe there was like an official announcement or letter or anything like that.
Well, listen, I'll tell you. Back in 1972, we had a circuit overseer named McClure. And he was a very southern brother. And he came up to my dad and asked my dad to do the opening prayer. And my dad said, "Brother McClure, I don't have a jacket because I can't go up on stage and do the prayer if I don't have a jacket." And to this brother's credit, he was a humble brother for a circuit overseer. He said, "Brother White," he says, "Jehovah doesn't care if you've got a jacket on or not." And that was what he told him. But he says, if you don't feel comfortable going up on stage, then you do the prayer from the seat. So my dad stood up in the audience and did the prayer for that meeting. So, I mean, I just thought of all, and I've seen a lot of circuit overseers that I think were total asses. But this was actually a fairly kind brother as circuit overseers went, in my opinion.
No, I think you're right. Certainly not a pompous, arrogant brother. It's funny. You can often imagine, what if Jesus just decided to materialize in the middle of the Kingdom Hall or at a convention dressed the way he was dressed when he was on Earth? He'd probably be hauled in the back room.
And you wouldn't be in no suit.
I got a story from 74.
All right, we're back. We're back. But hold on.
Anybody remember when they wouldn't let you wear a black dress shirt because it looked like mafia?
Yes, I think that's always been true.
I got a story from 74.
Well, I don't know if Rick was in the background starting to say something.
Yeah, we're all set now. I have to take off from time to time. I just had to give my wife some medicine. She needs some medicine, so that's where I was. So, anyways, we do have a lot of people calling in, but let's keep a little. Listen, here's what we'll do. Let me call out the number if you want to talk, and then you can talk. But please don't talk over each other, okay? So let's go with let's go with 817. Did you want to come in 817? Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Yes. My name's Max.
Yes, Max.
Do you remember the 74 back then when we had the white belts and the white shoes?
Oh yeah.
Style. A lot of brothers were starting to wear that. Well, I had a part of the program one time, and the brothers jumped all over me. You cannot wear that. You can't wear white shoes, white belt, no more. Just get rid of it. I said, okay. So then we went to the convention in Houston at the Astrodome, and they call up none other than Brother Schroeder. He gets on the platform with white shoes and a white belt, and I never heard from those brothers again.
Oh yeah. Well, that's exactly what happens, brother. Well, thank you. I think you knew calling in, right? All right, let's see what else is who else is calling in. Who else wants to speak up tonight? Okay, looks like we got the United Kingdom. Go ahead, Steve. You're on with us.
Thanks for sorting this out, by the way.
Yes.
Couldn't talk to you last week. So I had an experience once. I was a regular pioneer, and you know how the circuit overseers, they change every 3 years, right? So we had a new circuit overseer, and of course we have to go to the Wednesday night pioneer meeting, and it was winter time, and went to the pioneer meeting. Everything was okay, and we met the next morning for field service, and it was very cold. It was sort of -5 or something like that. It was very cold, and as a regular pioneer, you know, you when you're a regular pioneer, you know, you buy the right clothes for the right weather. So I had a long coat. You know, went down to my knees, a nice warm coat. But I also used to wear a woolly hat,
right? And this woolly hat was it's a navy blue woolly hat. And this woolly hat had a little bit of a peak on it. And it also had the bit that comes down at the side to protect your ears, right? And I also used to wear, when it was very cold, I also used to wear these woolly gloves that had the fingers, no fingers in. Because, you know, you're trying to present magazines with gloves on, it's impossible. So I bought myself some of these gloves with the fingers, you know, without the fingers on. Yeah, just fingertips, I should say. And the Pioneer meeting, I turned up as usual, and the second overseer looked at me and said, he basically cancelled me in front of about 30 or 40 brothers and sisters for wearing something that made me look like he said you look a little bit like a comedian. He said wearing that. He said you need to dress a little bit better. And this was in front of 30 or 40 people, you know. So I was just being warm. I wasn't trying to be funny or different or anything. I was just trying to keep warm. That's it.
Well, no, that's what they do. That's crazy, Steve. That's crazy. Well, who else has a story on dress and, you know, things you couldn't wear, things you couldn't do? Who'd like to bring that up? We'll listen and entertain what you have to say. So bring it on up. What have you been told? I mean, I know stories I could tell you here all night long. I remember my sisters. They weren't even, you know, they wore skirts that were below their knee, and they were in a very conservative congregation. And they both were giving a talk. One was the householder, and one was giving the talk. And they were my sisters giving the talks together. But when the elder announced them to give the talk, he says the Sister Ferens will be giving their talk from their seat. And my mother was fumed. I was just a young kid at the time. I remember this. And my mother went running up to the elders afterwards and said, why couldn't my daughters give their talk on the stage? And the elder said, because their skirts were too short. And my sisters did not wear mini skirts, believe me. But yet that's how stupid it is. That's what goes on. They will humiliate you. They'll make you feel 2 feet high. Okay, we got 213 coming in. 213, go ahead on. You're on with us.
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Good, John. Good.
Do you remember back in the late 70s, the sisters that would do sign language at the assemblies, they would make them wear head coverings because they was in a form teaching brothers in the congregation that were deaf. So they would make them wear head coverings, and if they didn't wear the head coverings, they wouldn't be allowed to give sign language.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know, I thought that was so crazy. I think there was even a question from readers in the Watchtower about that, about sisters doing sign language at assemblies where there's a baptized brother in the audience, and should they wear head covering?
That's absolutely crazy. Hey, Dick, you're on with us. Go ahead, Dick. All right. We've got Chicago, Illinois. Go ahead, 312. You're on with us.
I already gave my story, so I don't want to bore everybody with that again, but I wanted to mention, if you guys remember that on the information board, in the 2000s at least, there was a poster from Watchtower about what you could and could not wear when visiting Bethel. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but even at Bethel, there was a dress code for you to come and visit Bethel. You couldn't come in jeans, in shorts, and gym shoes, and that kind of thing.
One thing I was glad about when I look back at my pictures is that it wasn't because he was a witness. My dad just liked short hair, and I don't like, I didn't look goofy like, oh, those guys with really goofy long hair over their ears when I was a kid.
I always wondered what the brothers in the Kingdom Hall would do if they didn't have someone to pick on. It's like they're always watching each other And after the meeting, they'll go up to that person and say, don't you think that this is a little too much, that, and not enough of this? I know one sister was in the Kingdom Hall, beautiful sister. She was young and beautiful. Oh, wow, let's take her out back and shoot her. And she was wearing a very pretty color lipstick. It matched her outfit. And apparently there was a brother sitting close to her, and he kept staring at her. He just couldn't seem to take his eyes off of her. So he went after the meeting and went up to a couple of elders and said how she was disturbing him and causing him to feel immoral feelings. And they pulled that poor girl in the back, asking her why she wore that particular color lipstick. Was she trying to incite immorality in a young, vulnerable brother? That is nasty.
Hey, this is Scott again. I went through a terrible situation with my wife when we lived up in Massachusetts. An elder's wife, she was kind of a fat cow, no offense, but that's what she was. She took my wife to the bath and told my wife that she thought her skirts were too short and that she looked like a whore. And that's the exact word she used. She called my wife a whore and told her that her sons, who were adult, grown sons, who I did things with sometimes, model rockets and things like that, bowling, and her husband, that we were not allowed to associate with them anymore because of my wife's skirts, and that she was trying to seduce her husband. Okay? This absolutely made my wife feel horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I talked to one of the other elders, and I said, this is what happened. You know, basically, he told me to ignore and to tell my wife to ignore what that sister said. But, you know, it's pretty hard to ignore because he was, you know, he said, you know, some people aren't up on the fashion. So he wasn't criticizing my wife at all. And then here you had another elder's wife calling my wife a whore. And, you know, they were like, oh, just ignore it. Well, that's a hard thing to ignore when somebody that you sort of respect would take you back and call you that. And again, my wife already had deep issues with self-respect. Being a witness, she hated going door to door and all that. She was embarrassed to get up on stage. But yet, my wife was very stylish. She was a hairdresser, so she was extremely conscious of her dress. And she did dress classy. She did look nice. And, but no, they called her a whore. So, I mean, they can be horrible sometimes. And that never, my wife never forgot that. And that was her. Fortunately, we moved away from the congregation, come to Florida. So, and never had to deal with that again.
Scott, that is terrible.
And I was a ministerial servant too at the time.
That is
talks.
That is disgusting. That is terrible, Scott. That's a terrible story.
I know.
Yeah, jeez.
And it was. But that just shows what some of them will do.
Yeah, terrible. Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. I mean, I want people to really know how bad, how evil this Watchtower organization is. Okay, we get time for just a few more callers. We've got a new program coming on here in a few minutes. So let's go at 503. Go ahead, 503. You're on with us. All right, let's go to 978. Dick Borgie, you on there with us? I see you unmuted. No? All right, let's go to 414. Okay, let's see. Let's go to Anne-Marie, H31.
Thank you, very much. Yeah, it's really, really sad. A lot of sisters, unfortunately, would be picked on if they were beautiful or sexy or had beautiful body, beautiful figure, but they couldn't hide. It didn't matter how high neck their dress was or how long their dress was. They would still get picked on. And, you know, I think it's sadly a lot to do with older sisters who feel, you know, threatened, feeling, you know, they're angry because here's this beautiful girl and they feel like they must be a whore or they're going to feel verified in saying, well, this person is somehow indecent. I got accused all the time, almost at every meeting, that I was flirting with other people's husbands just because I was smiling. I'm a happy person. I'm happy to be with my brothers and sisters. It's just a real sick, twisted thing, and another indication of a horrible lack of Christian love. Thank you, Rick.
Well, I'm certainly glad you spoke up here tonight, Anne Marie. In fact, you had some really good comments. We had good comments from everyone tonight. I want to thank you all for coming into 6 Screens tonight, JW World News. And I really have to say that we had a really good program tonight. Sorry I had to get up and leave here from time to time. My wife is on some special medicine, so I had to keep going in and taking care of her. But thank you for understanding that. Yeah, so anyways, we
All
now
participants are muted.
yeah, now what we're going to do is we're going to go into another program. We've got Watchtower After Dark coming up next. And it's like in 2 segments. This is late night entertainment for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Eric coming on from Nashville, Tennessee. He'll keep you not only entertained, but he has a narrative he's going to share with you and give you some idea on how evil the Watchtower is. And then somewhere around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we got a pastor babe coming in, and she'll be able to burn the midnight oil along with Eric here tonight on the 6 Screens and our new Watchtower After Dark program. So by all means, join them tonight. But anyways, there's no, well, there will be a 6 Screen Sunday tomorrow. Our programming tomorrow on the 6 Screen starts at 12 noon with the Cochise Pendleton Hour. He'll be on at 12 noon, and we have a number of programs tomorrow, so by all means, join us then. Friends, if you like what you see here tonight, this is not monetized. You don't have to watch any commercials. We're not stopping in the middle of our broadcast here and trying to get you to watch something. This YouTube channel is not monetized. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to have to make any money off of anybody trying to get out of the Watchtower. That would hurt me at this point. Maybe someday as our network grows, but right now, I don't think it's necessary to charge anybody or have to watch commercials. I got out of the Watchtower for free. It didn't cost me a penny. There were plenty of people around that helped me. So don't send any money here to the 6 Screens either. I'm doing this on my own dime, and I want to do it. I want to help you. That means more to me than money. But I'll tell you what you could do for me. What you could do for me is, why don't you get on the forums? Why don't you tell people on, if you're listening into the program and you like it, why don't you get into Reddit or JWN and let the people in there know you listen to the 6 Screens and you like what you hear on the 6 Screens. Promote us a little bit. Share it on Facebook. Like us on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. That means more to me than money. So by all means, go ahead and do that, and I would really appreciate that. And we'll get more and more people. We're not going for the championship here. We don't have to have 200,000 subscribers. But, the more subscribers we get, the more ex-witnesses we're going to reach. The more PMOs, the more doubting Jehovah's Witnesses we're going to reach. So why don't you give it a shot? So go ahead and like us. Well, thank you very much. I want to tell you all, I appreciate you calling in tonight. You mean a lot to me. You really, really do. After 18 years of doing the program, I am really pleased to see the momentum that we have had here on the 6 Screens. Lots of new ones coming in. Lots of people have been really helped by all of you, not just me sitting here talking, but by all of you people that call in. You have to realize that you're making a difference. When you call into the program, there's so many people listening to what you have to say. So we encourage you all to call in when you can. We always put the number up there, but go ahead, give it a shot. Don't be so, skittish. Call into the program and let us know what's going on. That's what keeps this program alive, is the people calling in. So we're going to end it here. I thank you all for coming into JW World News. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower. Please turn off the new light, end the program here. We're going to another program now, Watchtower.